First topic: Candace Owens versus the president of France. The presidents, mind I say.
All right, so you got Candace, which is a YouTuber. She used to work for like Ben Shapiro's company, right? The
Daily Wire.
Daily Wire, right? That's what they're called. She got kicked off pretty much because she was speaking on the Jews, and they didn't like that, right? So now she has her own channel and she's coming out with her own stories. How does this relate to what we're talking about? So basically, she's now beefing with the French president, Emmanuel Macron, and the controversy has to do with him and his wife, right? Which is Brigitte Macron, which she claims is actually a man. Jean-Michel Trogneux is his name. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because, in my opinion, she's standing up for multiple journalists who have risked their lives and reputations in order to share the truth. And the problem with this is after you see all the evidence and you see how many journalists in France were trying to talk about this with repercussions left, right, and center, it's the fact that they continue to gaslight the people. They're still denying this. And now they're threatening Candace by sending her letters and telling her that she needs to stop. So she came out, if you guys want to look more into that, specifically that letter, she came out with a video saying, I respond to Mr. and Mr. Macron, episode 131. But here's a clip of Candace summing up her thoughts on the letter and correctly illustrating a good point, which is that by doing this, which is the first time ever you hear about a president sending a direct letter to a podcaster or someone's just speaking on a topic, right? They're illustrating their fear and the audacity that they have, and the power that they think they have to control the narrative. So let's play that clip.
Before we play the clip, quick question: is it confirmed or is it just theories that it's a man?
Basically, right now, it's still not confirmed, you could say, by the media, right? But as you guys are going to see, like the evidence pretty much speaks for itself.
Okay.
Candace is actually just about to come out with her own like docu-series type thing on her own website so that YouTube can't demonetize her or can't interfere with anything. And they actually know that she's about to come out with this. That's why she's receiving the letter. Because they're monitoring journalists and they're monitoring people in France that have spoken to her. So it all ties in to what's about to happen. And this is kind of their last try to get to silence Candace. But that's like the worst person you could silence because she will literally come back 10 times harder.
Yeah.
So hold on. Issue number one is why are they going to such far extent to literally silence people? And two, if I'm dating a woman, why do I have to defend the fact that I'm dating a woman?
Well, it's like the same thing that happened with Obama and his chef. You guys hear about that before?
Right.
The chef figured something out about Obama and Mike, right? And what happened? He died, bro. He was killed. They made out some stupid shit, but he was died because they don't want. Even though in society they allow this whole thing about like, yeah, it's okay to be transgender and all that stuff, when people in power, like a president of the United States, the president of France, it's gonna come out that they've lied to the people because that's what they've done. They could have started their term with open doors about what it is. Like, yes, I'm dating a transgender, I'm with this. But they didn't. They portrayed them as something that they're not. And then now they're gonna come out and say it to people. People are gonna be furious because they've lied to them for like their whole term.
Yeah. But trust me, once you guys start seeing everything that's actually happening or that where the evidence is pointing, you understand why they're trying to cover this up. So let's start playing the clips because we got a good amount.
All right, let's get into this. So I was speaking to my husband over the weekend and I said to him, legitimately, that I did not believe that in the history of the world there has ever been a circumstance where a sitting president, okay, why don't you think about this? A sitting president, a world G7 leader, do you recall ever hearing them having sent a legal threat to a podcaster, in this case, a pregnant mommy podcaster, in a country over which they do not preside? And included in that legal threat is a shh, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. I really do just think it's important to pause and consider all of that having taken place. It's a sign of the times, really a sign of the Western times. It's a reason that I feel the West is falling. I mean, two grown men acting like big babies. We could never imagine in a million
that's a
years
man.
Vladimir Putin doing this. Be honest, you could never imagine Vladimir Putin. If I said he's a killer, he's this, he's that, there's no way he's gonna go to his advisors and be like, send her a letter, just threaten her and tell her not to tell anybody that we're threatening her in this letter. It's weird. It's what we describe on the show as fake and gay, right? There's something fundamentally weak about it. If you're going to send me a letter and you're like, I'm not this and I'm not that, well, you should realize that even by sending the letter, people recognize that you are an extremely weak and an extremely fragile leader. And I have to tell you guys, your comments on Friday's episode really made me chuckle. Top one being this.
You can
one
cut
from
it there
Holly
so we
House.
can move
She
on.
wrote,
French president, do not publicize this letter. Candace Owens, hold my beer.
So
That is great.
So let's just get into the like basically how the hell they even became president, right?
Mhm.
So Emmanuel Macron, he started his own party, and he started condemning the radicalism on the left and the right, and he basically secured people's votes as a centrist, right? So he came out, he's like, no, we're against the right-wing propaganda, we're against the left-wing propaganda, we want to tell you the truth, we're in the center, right?
Okay.
And as he's
and
running,
I'm worse than both parties.
yes, exactly. And as he's running, we were presented with his wife, who is supposedly a very strong in faith Catholic woman, right? So that's
Emphasis
what
on
they presented.
strong.
Emphasis on strong. Exactly. And now this couple and their values is what got the public excited and was the main reason why they were voted into power. So the problem is that the lies and the extreme cover-up that came after, as journalists started looking into what they were claiming. And the first lie being that Brigitte Macron is actually a woman. I mean, that's the first lie, when in reality she's a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau. And this next clip is going to show a picture of Jean-Michel as a boy, who right now is nowhere to be found, right? Following these allegations. And this clip is also going to show a picture that the media used to deny the claims at first, which later they retracted once they got caught.
that Brigitte Macron was actually born Jean-Michel Trogneau. That is the person that you are seeing in this photo here on the far left. That would make her 8 years older than she is currently presenting herself to the public. Of course, you're probably thinking rationally, you're coming online, you're going, okay, well, where's Jean-Michel? Well, guess what, guys? He's missing. Now let's go back to that second photo that I showed you that the Daily Mail had embedded into their article. The one that I just instantly, without even having looked into the story, said, that looks too new. I mean, Brigitte's pretty old. That's actually a recolorized photo of her daughter, Tifon. I'm gonna show you a side-by-side here. It is very obviously Tifon. So you're telling me the media gets onto the story, and as a way to debunk it, you accidentally present a photo of your daughter and recolorize it into black and white? Again, you guys, this is not normal.
Wow.
Oh, right. So there you go. That's when it just started being exposed. The media went, they started lying, right? Then they got caught for that lie, and journalists started digging deeper. Now, whatever, she's a tranny. What's the big deal? You would say, right? But it's not the fact that she's a tranny. It's the fact that you have journalists, like people from that country, trying to expose the truth, and they're being slandered, harassed, put under surveillance, and some even died, right? So this next clip shows an example of a lady, what's her name here? A lady named Isabella Ferreira, who was a French journalist who was onto them. And this was in the early days when people just started looking into this, and she mysteriously died. So play this next clip where she explains it more in detail.
There was a woman named Isabella Ferreira, right? I'm showing you a picture of her. She used to be, what do they call them? The jaune gilets, which I think yellow vest in French. 56-year-old woman who was investigating Emmanuel and Brigitte. She was deemed to be one of the earliest to discover that the age gap between them was not being accurately reported by the mainstream media. And then she said she had landed upon something even bigger and started making phone calls to alert others that actually Brigitte, as she was saying, could still be prosecuted for the crime of having slept with a minor or had a relations with somebody who was 15 years old under the new law. Okay. 2 weeks later, this Isabella Ferreira is found dead. Okay. She was drowned in a dam. The investigators admit that she was still alive when she slipped into the ocean. The media was saying, oh, she took some pills, she was bipolar, she was depressed. That's what happened. Even though she had been making phone calls days earlier asking for people to meet with her regarding this investigation. And in fact, one of her friends posted on Facebook, his name is Luca, and he wrote a very long post, which you can go and find, but this is the most compelling element. He did not buy the accidental suicide story. He wrote, these days, she was focused on the sexual assault of the teacher, Brigitte Trogneau, towards the minor pupil, Emmanuel Macron. The revelation that she claimed to have and about which she had told me was that the prescription 30 years.
Wow. This is very similar. This is super similar to the story of Trudeau while he was a teacher. And then he had a sexual relationship with a minor, and then he used hush money to silence the case. Yeah. Super similar. Yeah. And it's funny that all these guys were mentioned by Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum, as when he gave examples of countries which both mentioned Trudeau and Macron, that he said it's like very tight hold on these elected officials. It's crazy.
Yeah. And he was praising them, right?
And praising them, yeah.
Right. And the crazy thing is, like, all they got, like, let's just say this isn't true, and for whatever reason, it's not true, right? All they got to do is either bring out Jean-Michel Trogneau. He just has to come out and be like, yo, this is me, obviously, and side by side with Brigitte. Either that or show a real picture of Brigitte in her youth, which they can't do either of this. And the crazy thing is, you still have people believing, right? The media. You still have guys like Piers Morgan. I don't know if he turned around now, but I was listening to him even about a month ago telling Candace, like, she's crazy for even speaking out on this. And, you know, he's a guy that doesn't really, he's in the center somewhat, or he tries to put himself in the center and doesn't choose sides. So here's another clip of Candace breaking down Brigitte's transition pics from young man to old lady. So you can see, like, you know, a continuous photo op. Kind of make your own assumptions there just off of the photos. And then she also mentions the sexual relationship she had with Emmanuel, which is the other side of this story.
So we will start from the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneau. That person that you are looking at on the right is not a woman.
I know.
Okay. Here is a photo, by the way. Just over the years, Jean-Michel Trogneau, as he became Brigitte, as I said, the evidence for this is overwhelming. That second photo, I believe they found a photo of him at a pride parade when he was just living as a homosexual man. That next photo is when the transition began, if I recall correctly, and that's a photo from the professor years. And the professor years of Brigitte Macron is when he statutorily Emmanuel Macron. Those are not the prerequisites, by the way. Like, to becoming a leader of a world country, you got to, like, be in drama class, like Zelensky. You got to be a homosexual, like a lot of them tend to be. And are the new prerequisites that you need to have something in your closet like this, and the entire state is going to work feverishly to protect the secret? It is time.
Yo, the fact Trudeau was also a drama teacher is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and the fact that she just said that,
that is crazy. That just took me out.
Yeah, Zelensky, Trudeau, the French president, bro. Like, when are we gonna pick up on this pattern, right?
When is he going to come out?
Yeah, that's question. Another thing. So now you got the fact that she's covering up that she's a man, right? Or that it's a man. And then you got grooming and pedophilia allegations that obviously the media is denying. To this day, they'll call it conspiracy. And it's crazy. So, I mean, this takes us to our last clip of Candace, where she's talking to one of the undercover journalists that's in hiding right now, as he's exposing the age gap plus when and where the French couple actually met, and why they're so scared, the French president, of this coming out. So play that last clip, and then we'll get your guys' thoughts on this.
I got so many questions. Oh my god.
That they were presenting to the public were not correct of when they fell in love. Is that right?
A senior journalist in French public television wrote a book proposing and confronting all the narratives about how they met. This included information that Brigitte Macron had been his theater professor, not his French professor, and that he was in fact 14 and she 39 when they initially met. So in essence, it was a case of an adult involved with a minor. We were able to collect 5 exclusive photos of Jean-Michel Trogneau from the past, all in coherence, proving that Brigitte Macron is Jean-Michel Trogneau. From these, the age difference is actually greater. It is in fact a 14-year-old boy who initially met someone aged 47.
Wow.
So I assert to the public that Brigitte Macron is a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau who was born on February 11th, 1945.
Even the ages that they were...
What the hell?
Yeah, bro, that's crazy. Crazy.
Bro,
That's,
the age gap is retarded.
So how old is he now?
I could put that
the
up.
actual French.
Brigitte, right?
No, not Brigitte. Jean or whatever. Macron.
He looks like he's in his 30s, maybe pushing
he's talking
like 40s.
The thing is, right now they say that she's 71 years old, right? But they're trying to say that they're lying about the age. So if you go on Google, it says Brigitte, which is Jean-Michel Trogneau, is 71.
No, the husband, the actual guy in the relationship.
The French Prime Minister, no?
they're both guys. Fuck. The one that says he's a guy. He looks like he's in his 40s. The one who got,
Yeah, 47 right now. So it's
Holy
supposedly
shit.
47 to 71, but apparently it's even more than that, right?
That's
they
disgusting.
got proof. So that's the problem here, right?
That's disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. So you know how in the beginning she says that she shows the picture of like the family, and then she says like this is him when he's 8, and she says like, oh, he's missing.
Yeah.
Is the female version of him supposed to be like a sister to the male version of him that went missing?
Yeah, like that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
So she's supposed to be the sister of the guy who went missing, which is actually him.
Exactly, because there's no picture of a sister back then, like an actual sister, and that guy now is nowhere to be found. And it's like
How
a huge
ridiculous
conspiracy
are
theory.
they?
Yeah, and people are falling for this shit, you know?
Well, it's like underlying insulting when they try to like do like obvious shit like this, and then like they know people are so busy with their daily lives that they're not gonna pay attention to this stuff, but like the minute you pay attention to it, it's like they're insulting your intelligence by putting out such obvious like stupidity ass things as like evidence and shit like that. Like that's unacceptable, bro. And
the thing is, it's bigger than that though, right? Because like as much as they're just trying to hide the fact that like that guy may be a tranny or whatnot, what they're really hiding is the fact that all this grooming process of bringing people up in power and having them as presidents and leaders of nations and going into the world government that you're talking about last podcast, it then puts a bigger picture and a big, the club, as we often like to mention, like talk to them about, right? So this, like the further you go down the rabbit hole, it's like the further you're uncovering things about the people that are never mentioned. Yeah. Which that's why people go missing, people go into hiding, and they never existed.
Yo, makes me wonder now why like Trudeau and his wife got divorced, and why he's been pushing the pride agenda so much, and he's been going on dates with all these fucking drag queens and all that stuff. Like, was he always trying to tell us something?
So people,
is he free to do what he wants now that he stepped down as the prime minister? Are we going to see him in a drag show?
The thing is, these individuals actually believe in that persona that they built because they've been groomed into that identity. So it's not like they're just acting like like they like the pride. And once again, like when we talk about these subjects, I have nothing wrong with these people. Like you guys do whatever you want. I just hate when it's being influenced onto everybody else. That's the part I have a problem against. But anyways, these people are groomed into these personalities and that identity. So when you see them going to these pride parades and this, no, they're actually generally celebrating that because that's what they've grown to believe and become. So it's not like it's an act. Like they are who they are. But they're still part of those people, part of that group. Whatever.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I have no issues with people and what they're, who they like, what they like, how they want to present themselves. No problem at all. Do whatever you want, brother. But the issue comes when it's like that push, when they're trying to make it everybody should be part of this. Everybody should aspire to be something like this, and it's like don't push agendas on nobody. If someone wants to be something, it comes from within, from their own desire to do that. But once you start pushing ideas onto people, and especially weak people, weak-minded people who are very influenced by everything they see around them, it's dangerous for society, bro.
Or
Very
young
dangerous.
people. Or young people,
Yeah,
like kids who are in elementaries, kids who are in kindergarten, like you're starting to teach them that all these drag queen shows are, it's what the norm is, or these teachings is what the norm is. So then they grow up thinking that it's cool to be that, and now they grow up into that exact personas and exact mirrored image that these guys got brought up into, which is insane. It's insanity.
But it's the ideal target for them because they're the future of the nation, but they're also the weakest minded in the nation, right? They can't try to transition a 23-year-old or a 25-year-old who has like his head on his shoulders and who can actually think for himself and has aspirations and all that stuff. He's gonna come back and rebuttal some of the shit you say, but you say something to a kid, you're just setting him up for the future to be whatever you set him up to be, and it's fucked up.
Yeah, and these people in power are basically being taught that pedophilia is okay, or they're in situations where pedophilia is involved, right? And then you've got these people in power passing laws and stuff to allow, to push this certain agenda on kids, to teach them about it, to allow drag queen shows in schools and stuff like that.
Bro,
And
it's
I got
weird.
I got a lot of flack to say like, yo, okay, yeah, we're accepting of everyone, right? Until what? Like when are we going to draw the line? Now, soon you're going to get pedophiles saying that like, yo, I was born this way. Like there's nothing I can do. You got to accept me. And they're starting to say that now, right? So it's like people just got to realize, bro, there has to be a line drawn, and separate these topics so that we know that, okay, if we're going to accept everything, this is what we're also accepting, which is pedophilia, and it's got to stop. Like we got to start saying nah.
Bro, you know what's ridiculous? There's certain states in the U.S. where they have posters that say pedophilia is not a crime, it's a mental illness. So they lowered it down from being a crime to just being something that's like a mental, like schizophrenia or something like that, where it really affects people's lives, and they're correlating it to that. The other shitty thing that they're doing nowadays is they're called a movement called minor attracted people.
Yeah.
Minor attracted people. So they're trying to water down this disgusting thing, like, which is affecting the world, bro. Like, one of the biggest traffickings that goes from Mexico to the United States is the child trafficking. They traffic kids certain ages to get daily, I don't want to say the word because it's disgusting, but to get daily, and then after they're considered not usable anymore, they go into the next trafficking, which is the organs. So it's such a huge problem because they destroy these kids' lives entirely, bro. Entirely. And then they put it down like, oh yeah, pedophilia is not a crime, it's an illness. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disgusting.